Anime where MC gets betrayed and wants revenge. 1. Tower of God. Tower of God sweeps us off our feet when we come across the kind of betrayal that none of us ever anticipated. That was awful. It's such a great piece of anime that never left any opening for us to foresee what was going to happen next. It also involves the MC entirely changing his personality after being betrayed by someone he never thought would betray him. Our MC Bomb is a naive boy who has never experienced the outside world, nor has he interacted with anyone else but a girl his age, Rachel. Rachel abandons him and wishes to climb up the tower that grants one wish to anybody who has reached the top first. Bomb follows her and joins the race to climb up the tower to make her wish come true. 2. Kabaneri of Iron Fortress. This is an anime which is riddled with betrayals. The island of Hinomoto is one that is filled with unrest. It is where humankind made their last stand against Kabani. They have an enormous divider to shield themselves. To delve into this monster territory, one has to take the heavily clad train. And the best thing is, it is a train that is supervised by youngsters. One such individual is Ikoma. During the monster attack, Ikoma went and became a mechanical mortal beast. The only way to defeat him is to pierce his heart, which is clad in iron plates. So, he took it upon himself to protect the supplies that are to be transported from one human settlement to another. But this plan is not one to last, as he is betrayed in almost all twists of the story. 3. Rising of the Shield Hero. The ultimate anime that does justice with the themes of betrayal and vengeance, Rising of the Shield Hero is an eye-opener for us to not trust anybody easily. Our MC in this one was naive and fell prey to a pretty girl who accused him of attacking a girl later, which stripped him off of all the grace. He then became extremely bitter and treated everybody like shit, except of course his party members, who are super cute. Rising of the Shield Hero tells us the story of Naofumi Iwatani, who got summoned to a fantasy world along with 3 other people as a legendary hero. He's the weakest of all the 4 heroes and is not very popular amongst the masses. Things get even messy when he's betrayed and accused of assault by the daughter of the king of Melromark. He then starts his journey from zero and forms his party with a demi-human Raftalia and a Philolial named Philo. 4. Bitoon. In the world of anime, many stories revolve around an online game. This is not a new concept since the atrocity named Sao. But this anime deals with it differently. The main character is a 22-year-old boy named Ryuta. He is a jobless bum whose one and only ambition is to stay home and play Bitoon. Yes, the name keeps getting bigger, Bitoon. He wants to be the best in Japan in terms of this online game. To achieve his aim, he fights alongside his companions, but this doesn't last long. He and his companions travel to an island in Bitoon to realize his dream. But now, he has to kill 7 different players to even survive the island and come out victorious. This anime doesn't have the off-the-charts, unbalanced powering system and progresses the story in a slow and well-paced manner. 5. Vinland Saga. Focusing mainly on the themes of betrayal and revenge, Vinland Saga tells us the story of a boy who gave up on everything just to take revenge. He becomes the part of that very tribe that killed his father and wishes to destroy them with his own hands. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how Thorfinn became someone who he hated the most. He sees nothing but blood and has sacrificed everything for vengeance. This anime revolves around Thorfinn, who lives in an icy village in Iceland. He's greatly impressed by the tales of the old sailors that have witnessed a beautiful land that is warm and fertile, unlike their own village. They're also at war with Vikings that know nothing but bloodshed. Thorfinn's father is killed after being betrayed before his own eyes, and that makes his blood boil. He then joins the Vikings and travels with them, hoping one day he'd get to kill the man, Askeladd, who killed his father. 6. Berserk. We have another OG anime that tells us the story of some brutal betrayal. It's not really noticeable at the start, but once you realize what's going on, it'll leave you with your jaw dropped to the ground. The story revolves around Guts, who had it tough ever since he opened his eyes to the world. Growing up, He had to fight battles after battles just to survive. He soon joins a group of mercenaries whose leader is Griffith, also known as White Hawk. He manages to impress Griffith due to his raw power and climbs up the ranks without even breaking a sweat. Now, he must fight alongside them to survive and to get his revenge. 7. Redo of Healer. This anime involves some dark themes that might not be suitable for some viewers. The abuse RMC faces in this one is really brutal and is something constant in his life. He throws away his humanity and comes back even stronger, yes. Revenge is sweet, taking brutal revenge against those who did him wrong. The story involves a healing magician, Hiru, who is regularly bullied repeatedly by others. His class is the strongest amongst other classes, but he has no idea about it. By the time he realizes his potential, it's too late for him as he has lost everything. He somehow manages to go back in time and decides to set everything straight, including kicking some asses of his abusers. And I mean, literally kicking asses. 8. 91 Days. During an era when the law was useless, it was the mafia who controlled the city. And this story takes place in one such town, Lawless. This town has flourished by fermenting alcohol but by illegal means. Avalio used to be in this town but is now out of this hellhole. But he has to revisit Lawless for the sake of vengeance. He learns from a secretive sender that his family, which had been massacred, was killed by the Venetti family, the mafia bosses of Lawless. His plan is set in motion once he becomes friends with a child Nero and starts his revenge pursuit. 9. Dororo. Dororo is a beautiful piece of anime with a prominent theme of revenge and betrayal. RMC is left to die after being betrayed by his own father, and he miraculously survives and comes back 10x stronger to set things right. Dororo tells us the story of Hyakkimaru, who was served as an offering to a devil by his father just because he wanted to save his land. It was his greed that made him renounce Buddha and make a pact with the devil. Very creepy stuff. Hyakkimaru is born without any limbs, nose, eyes or even skin. But he's allowed to live. Overall, the anime will become creepy to the point where you'll love it. He's soon disposed of in a river, but he miraculously manages to survive until he's found by a medicine man who gives him prosthetic limbs and everything else that was missing on his body so that he could survive on his own. He meets an orphan who becomes very close to him. Now, Hyakkimaru must defeat demons to get the parts of his body back that were missing at his birth. 10. Chivalry of a Failed Knight. In a world where magic is the source of power, there is one useless individual. Ikki Kurigane wants to be a knight, an individual who is able to manifest his own soul's magic into weapons to fight. For this, he is admitted into the knight training program but fails no matter how hard he tries. This earns him the title of a failed knight. Such a circumstance boycotts him from his family and also his class. But after he meets Stella Vermilion, things start changing. He acquires the confidence to use his own magic in a much more refined manner. But this is not well received by many. Even his father is against this and traps him. This fuels his anger and makes him one of the most overpowered knights in his school. 11. Code Geass. Code Geass literally screams betrayal. The main theme of this anime is rebellion and is a political thriller. RMC is betrayed by his father and he thinks betraying his friends and the ones close to him would help him with his motive. Everyone in this anime is betraying someone close to him, and there isn't one single episode when we don't see the strings of betrayal being pulled on. The story starts with the Empire of Britannia invading Japan, naming it Area 11. Lelouch is RMC, who's a Britannian, living in Japan at that time. He promises his Japanese friend Suzaku that he'd destroy Britannia. Years later, he's caught up in a battle between Area 11 and Britannian rebel armed forces. Luckily, he finds a girl named CC, who grants him the power of knights, also known as Geass. Lelouch creates a new identity and goes by the name of Zero. Now, he will go on and slaughter anyone who comes in his way to take revenge against Britannia. 12. Chrome-shelled Regios, a dystopian world that is riddled with monsters known as filth. It may sound like a typical anime, but believe me, it isn't. This anime is one filled with fantasy and betrayal and an overpowered main character. Nina Antok, a military understudy, wants to be the best in this world. But this becomes somewhat tough when Leifan Alsif joins the Foundation. He has the potential to be the best and beat Nina, but his mysterious past won't let him be. Let alone being the best, his obscure past makes it hard for him even to join the academy. But still, he overcomes those hardships and joins the force to prove his worth. That's because this is only the start of his struggles. 13. Arifureta. Arifureta shares a lot of similarities with the Rising of the Shield hero, as both involve MCs that are pretty weak and kind-hearted until they're betrayed. Focus on the word, until. Our goody two-shoes MC in Arifureta completely changes when he's betrayed by his comrade and holds a very bitter grudge. Arifureta tells us a story of a high schooler named Hajime Nagumo who gets isekai'd to a fantasy world along with his classmates. This time there's no Truck-kun, unfortunately. All of them are treated like heroes there with some insane superhuman powers. However, our MC is granted with only basic alchemical magic that holds no worth at all. He's betrayed by one of his classmates during a dungeon raid and finds himself at the bottom of the dungeon. Now, he pledges to become stronger than anyone else and take his revenge as well. 14. Dimension W. In the year 2071, when the world was supposed to face energy deficiency, it is filled with energy and power. This is all possible due to an organization that is able to cultivate energy from the fourth dimension. This is the dimension that is identified with the letter W. The W dimension is the power source and also the source of immense illegal activities. And for that, there is a need for law enforcement to stop these unlawful activities. But the police are not up for the job. This is where the main guy Kayoma comes in. He has a loathful reputation. But along with his android assistant, he becomes one of the most overpowered main characters in anime history. 15. Raka. Braves of the Six Flowers. In this anime, our MC becomes OP and takes his revenge mercilessly by the end of the show. It also resembles the game Among Us, cause a lot of Seuss moments are in it, if you're familiar with that, where we have to identify the traitor and eliminate him. The anime features a group of 6 heroes who are summoned when the god of evil awakens. Each hero is granted some superhuman powers that will lead them to defeat the evil god. Our MC Adlet is chosen as one of the heroes to go against the evil god. However, at the point of meeting, the heroes find out that there are 7 heroes when there's supposed to be only 6 of them. Now, they must find out who the imposter is to avoid further complications. And we're not talking about Among Us game, alright. 16. The Legend of Legendary Heroes. Reiner and Ferris venture along Menoris, a fantasy land filled with relics. They are a wizard and a knight respectively. Both of them are looking for hero relics. They need these relics to help their friend Scion, the High King of Roland. Reiner and Ferris seem nothing special at first sight, but one considers the other to be a deviant. It becomes a running gag throughout the show, but it is a vital one. There are 3 main characters in this show, and each one of them is betrayed. But who betrays them and for what is something that you will have to find out for yourself. For if I mention them here, the anime fun and thrill will be spoiled in a blink. 17. Stigma of the Wind. Kazuma Yagami is an outcast for 4 years due to his failure in controlling fire. He also was defeated by his cousin in a duel which only further fueled his betrayal. So, he returns to the Honorable Kanagi family after serving the 4-year sentence. However, he returns as not the usual Kazuma but as Fujitsu's Wind Magic's client. He has returned to take back his lost honor within the family. And he is determined to achieve it. But his relatives have a different plan. They make his path several times more challenging. As a result, the help which he is supposed to receive from his relatives becomes the seed of betrayal. But this doesn't diminish Yagami's determination. On the contrary, He uses this betrayal only to further fuel his ambition by outshining the ones who betrayed him. 18. Seraph of the End. Vampire Reign. In a world that is void of any adult, the kids are stolen by vampires. A kid who got captured by a vampire finds an escape path. Not only does he escape, but he also finds a way to retaliate against the vampires. These vampires also don't take it lightly as they attack the human settlements to weaken them. Such a story is similar to Attack on Titan. You might even find it to be exactly similar other than the fact it's Attack on Vampires instead of Titans. We all know by now how much a betrayal game is embedded within Attack on Titan. And as Seraph of the End is an anime similar to Attack on Titan, you will find the betrayed main character you have been looking for. 19. Record of Grandcrest War. In a land administered by the tumult, it was a culture to help one another to succeed. For the ones in this land called Atlanta, the individuals lived by the will of their masters. But some of the lords of the land didn't want to follow this ideal scenario. So they betrayed each other in hopes of acquiring more territory. Among them, the solitary mage, Saluka, scorns the lords for their selfishness. This mage befriends the knight Theo, who wants to free his own country from oppression. And due to the similarities in their belief and end goal, they band together to change this war-torn land. This show has one of the greatest anime betrayals, and an overpowered character to back it up. 20. Akatsuki no Yona. We have a female MC for this one who faces a massive betrayal by his childhood friend who ends up killing her father. She doesn't go haywire and change her whole personality because of the trauma she faces. Instead, she remains calm and slowly becomes stronger. Not to mention, beautiful too. Akatsuki no Yona revolves around Princess Yona, who lives a carefree life in the Hiryu Castle. She also accompanies two of her childhood friends. One of them is Sun Hawk, his bodyguard, and the other one is Su Wan, her love interest. It was her 16th birthday when her father was killed by Su Wan and the castle was set on fire. Hawk rescues Yona and flees from the castle to his birthplace. Now, Yona must look for the legendary 4 dragon warriors to save her kingdom from Su Wan. 21. Bungo Stray Dogs. After being thrown out of an orphanage, Nakajima Atsushi survives a near-death situation. Such a situation was caused due to starvation. After he survives, a series of peculiar men introduce themselves. Among them, the most peculiar ones are Dazai Osamu and Kunakita Doppo. They both are part of the Armed Detective Agency, an agency that takes on cases that the military or the police can't. And this intrigues Atsushi, and he joins the duo in hopes of killing the one who betrayed and humiliated him. So they venture into the virtual city of Yokohama to kill the man-eating tiger and become one of the Bungo masters with unordinary powers. 22. Masamune Kun's Revenge. Masamune, a pig-like boy, born with a golden spoon in his mouth, loves nothing but food. But when this kid gets bullied and betrayed due to his size, the story takes a different turn. He shed a few pounds and became one of the most famous guy in the country. Well, a weak main character becoming overpowered is a common trope. But a wimpy, fat kid becoming famous is a new one. After getting rid of the fat, he also got rid of his weak personality. He did so to retaliate against the ones who pushed him down. Unfortunately, the premise is not that novel, but it is filled with twists. The well-paced story seems more like a parody than a revenge anime.